snap it, and it's Trey Burton who throws caught. Foles, touchdown.
Here he goes. It's Hester. Inside the 30. Hester's going to take it all the way for a touchdown.
Fields stumbling, trying to cut it back. Justin Fields making magic happen. There goes Fields. Touchdown!
Hurts on first down, fires downfield. It's Deshaun Jackson back in the lineup. This the last 7 games, and he will take it 81 yards. A somersault into the end zone. His first touchdown of the season.
You're listening to the Pigskin Project, the world's #1 football podcast. Now, with more insights on all things football, here are your hosts, Ben Hansen and Ryan Matthews. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Pigskin Project, episode 105. We got a lot more to talk about compared to last week. You go through everything, man. We got a bunch of big trades happening since last week. Shout out to Coach Tyler for hopping on the show because, what a guest. He provides a lot of insight on it as well. But nonetheless, as we always start, Ben, how are we feeling today?
Tired, guys. School's really catching up to me already. We're like a week out from break, and I'm already feeling it. But we're again, as always, excited to be here. Excited to talk football. We're only 35 days away from draft now. 5 weeks. Yeah. 5 weeks away.
I'm excited.
Pumped.
Yep, we got a lot to talk about, and it starts right off with my Bears, man. That's really it. Yeah. Bears are making moves, and let me just say and start off everything. This looked like a legit team. Like maybe not Super Bowl legit yet, but like legit, more legit than where we've been the last couple years. So Bears, let's just start off with what happened first. Bears are trading a 4th-round pick to the Chargers for Keenan Allen. Ben, what are your thoughts on this one?
I think it's a good win now move, and it's going to really help, which we'll get into in a little bit. But it's going to really help Caleb Williams develop. To have a guy do that, he's coming off of his best season. The big issue is he's is he 30 or 31? I think he's 31.
I believe he's 30, but turning 31. Let me fact check though.
There you go. He's on the back end of his career. He just came off of one. He just came off of one of his better career, or like one of his better years, if not his best. But he's older. He's on the back end of his career now. He has 1 year left on his contract, so Bulls better re-sign him at this point. But more than anything, I think it's a good move. But if it takes you out of position to take a wide receiver at 9, so like if Aroma Dunze is there and you don't take him because you have Keenan Allen, I no longer like this move. Again, he's a nice short-term fix to the thing. But now that you guys are going the Caleb Williams route, which again we'll get into in a second here, you want to surround him with young talent for the next 8 to 10 years of his career. And by doing that, you have to draft a wide receiver at least fairly early, given I like the wide receiver class as a whole. So it's not the end of the world, but I really do hope it doesn't take you out of the Rome Odunze pick at 9 if he's there. But I do really like it.
Yeah.
So.
No, yeah, of course. I'm right there with you. Obviously, like Rome Odunze is my guy right now. Like, obviously, I think Neighbors is going to be good too. And the more that we're looking into it as well, we can discuss this a little bit while we're at it. But Marvin Harrison Jr. seems to be falling as far as, professional journalists have it falling, but I don't know how teams really look at it. Marvin Harrison Jr. is a spectacular athlete, and why he's quote unquote falling right now is because he's not performing at the combine and he didn't perform, or he's not performing at his pro day and he didn't perform at the combine. So because of that, it's not looking great for him as a player when you look at it from a franchise perspective. But if you talk about it with his agent and where Marvin Harrison Jr.'s at, kind of look into it a little bit deeper, it looks better for him because Marvin Harrison Jr. met with teams at the combine, and they said that they weren't necessarily needing anything out of him at the pro day. So instead, he's working out with Ohio State, trying to learn more about football and just designating his full focus on football right now before the draft. So I think no matter what, Marvin Harrison's going to be a good guy for whoever gets him, and I expect him to be a top 5 pick for sure. Originally, we were looking at number 1, number 2, but looking at how it shaped, or how it ended up, it's not looking too great for number 2 now for Marvin Harrison. But then you look at the neighbors and the Adunzes, and it's going to be interesting to see where they fall. I do expect the Chargers to wind up with one of these 3 for sure, though. But Bowers is one of those guys I think is going to fall out of the top 10.
Yeah, we know. For those who listen to the podcast, we know where I stand and what I think they. Again, the whole Keenan Allen thing ties in very, very well with the Chargers stuff. At this point, they have to take a pass catcher, and I use the word pass catcher, not wide receiver, because I think Bowers is very, very good at that. Again, not be surprised if I'm looking at you, Vikings. If the Vikings trade 11 and 23 to get up to 5, and then Bowers goes to them at 11. As far as Marvin goes, I really think it's just some team trying to create a smoke screen to hopefully get him to fall a little bit, because I have said it throughout this entire process. Marvin Harrison is the closest thing to a perfect prospect that we will ever see. You really, really, really have to be nitpicking to find something wrong with him that you don't like that's going to take you him off your board. For me, he is he is the best player in this class, and that's saying something when Caleb Williams is in this class.
Yeah,
I think he's by far the best player, and I think it's a Drake May thing. I think Drake May is clearly number 2 quarterback in this class, and people are trying to create smoke to hopefully get this prospect to fall. So that's what I think.
It's definitely going to be interesting. I mean, you look at it, with the whole receiver thing, it's going to be interesting to see where everything falls. But next up, this one I'm going to speak on just a little bit longer. Bears trade quarterback Justin Fields to the Steelers for a 2025 6th that could turn into a 4th round pick depending on playing time. Now, here's the thing that I will say really quick. Justin Fields, man, he's in the intro. So if it says anything to you guys about what Justin Fields potentially means to me, it's literally he's in the intro, man. I put him in our intro because I care about him so much as a player and as a person. It was tough to see it go, especially for this low. I mean, that was ridiculous. But you look at it, and this is a move that the Bears had to make. And if you guys follow us on our TikTok page as well, you know that I posted something like that regarding the whys and why the Bears had to make this move. And that's because polls would have passed on 4 different Heisman candidates and 3 Heisman winners at the quarterback position in a span of 2 years had he kept Fields. And there's so much uncertainty surrounding the Fields situation. Looking at that, it sucks because Fields was my guy. I wanted him to work out. And to be honest with you, he had that feel to him that seemed so much like a franchise quarterback normally, his maturity with everything, his leadership and everything as well. I think you're still muted here, Ben, just said. But yeah, his leadership thing, there you go. And his mentality is just, so good. And, it's just unfortunately the on-field production was not there. I love this guy. I will always be a Justin Fields fan. I have his college jersey in my closet, and I still look forward to wearing it. I still have my Fields jersey. I'm not getting rid of any jerseys. I think that's petty. I think, despite I loved him so much as a Bear, I think people are taking this way too far. So, you look at Bears Twitter, it's ridiculous. Ben, I don't know if you saw. Oh, no, you did. I sent this to you.
So, and you said you saw it beforehand, but Bears fans are trying to get a number 1 commemorative patch on the jerseys this year.
So
It's
dumb.
like, it's so dumb. He's still in the league. He was only on the team for 3 years. He contributed to 10 wins total. Like, not a lot of winning here. And I mean, come on. I get it. You like the guy. You're going to miss the guy. I understand. Don't get me wrong. But Fields as a whole is just a great person that a lot of people have trouble with separating the person from the player, as I did in the early stages of trying to figure out who I want for my team. Now, looking at it now, we get the chance to draft Caleb Williams, and this is such an easy move. It's such a straightforward move. You just slide the ticket across the counter, turn it in. That's it. No overthinking. It doesn't take very much. Just write his name, slide it across the counter. That's it. I will say this. So reports have come out saying that the Bears have met with him multiple times over the past 3 days prior to his pro day and afterwards as well. They've had dinner with him. They're meeting with him a bunch. They love the character from what I hear, as well as they also took out a whiteboard, starting to kind of, show him different things and whatnot, kind of test his mentality a little bit. A little test before the 30-day or a top 30 visit, and they're liking what they see. Poles met with Caleb Williams' dad today during the pro day. Yeah. You see Caleb Williams kind of dapping up the coaches and stuff like that. And obviously Keenan Allen was at the pro day too. So, I mean, obviously I think that there's got to be a little bit of at least league wide for Keenan Allen to at least come into this franchise and just a few days later show up to USC for this pro day. I think it's wide. Everybody knows that the Bears are leaning towards Caleb Williams, whether they like it or not. This is what's happening. And another thing is, and this is more of a skeptical, little bit of feeling that I have instead of more of like a confident feeling, is that Keenan Allen was told, like, this is the guy that we like. Get yourself familiar with him if you're not already. But, this is who we're going to go and see. This is not something that you typically see, but just a little bit of backstory just to kind of counter that argument, if people want to talk about that, is that Keenan Allen knew Caleb Williams prior to his pro day, prior to him being a Bear. Caleb Williams talked about that in an interview after his pro day and said that me and Keenan were close. And I think that it's stupid that he got traded for just a 4th-round pick, but cool. Like, he's going to be a Bear. Hopefully I get the chance to play with him. Like, that's cool. There's already chemistry involved there, and that's perfect. Because especially, when you've got guys like Cole Kmet going on the CHGO show talking about how, it sucks how it went down with Fields and everything, but you need a locker room guy to show everybody, like, this is the guy. And I know it sucks because it's not the guy from last year. This is the guy now. Like, don't mope anymore because this is going to be good. There's a bunch of locker room mishaps and stuff like that afterwards too. So I think that once everybody understands that this guy's really good, and I think probably that happens around training camp, that's when this locker room is going to take off and really support Caleb Williams. And then you're going to see a team win, I think, around 10 games this year. That's where my estimate is.
10 games is a little rich, but I do think I would not be surprised if you guys are a playoff team or a wild card. Obviously, I don't think you guys are winning that division, but I wouldn't be surprised if you guys sneak in there at the 7th seed. He's one of the better quarterback prospects that we've seen over the last 10 to 15 years, but he's still going to be a rookie quarterback. Who's to say he can't do what CJ has done? But let's be honest, it's less likely that he will. But no surprise through this entire process. Like, Bears fans, there's some Bears fans be like, whoa, the Bears actually do like Caleb Williams. Well, no,
it's not only that.
Like,
they're literally, and this is stupid. I don't know if you've seen this on your Twitter page at all or in your feed, but there are literally Bears fans out there that are pretending this move is fake and that our quarterback is still Justin Fields. Like, this is legitimate. It's not a joke. People are legitimately saying, like, until Poles comes out in a press conference and says, like, Caleb Williams is our guy and we traded away Justin Fields, I do not believe that this is real. And it's like, the Steelers commented on it. Ryan Poles released a statement on the official Bears page Like Justin Fields has commented on it. How much more of a confirmation do you need from the league to tell you this is not a Bears quarterback anymore? Like,
okay, that's baffling. I've not seen that. That's not to be offensive to anyone, but that's incredibly stupid.
I just wanted to show you what I'm dealing with now, because like I read that crap every day.
like I said, there was only one organization in the entire league that would have had this argument / conversation, but I'm not surprised. Poles, while I would have liked to see him make more moves in free agency, and yes, I know his Bears fans say, well, he's always been, he doesn't like to give up big contracts, and he always likes to build through the draft. At a certain point, you have to give out, period, you have to give out big contracts. You have that much money to do that, and you're not going to fill out a roster with, 5 picks? What do you guys have?
4.
4. Well, you got because the 6 is next year, yeah. You're not going to fill out the roster with 4 draft picks. Let's just be honest. So the Bears fans that are like, calm down. Like, this is what he said. The plan was going to be you have $80 million of cap space. Freaking spend it. But that's besides the point. I'm not surprised that a smart GM like Poles ended up going the Caleb Williams route. The whole shocker of it all for me is over the last couple weeks of free agency, in the weeks leading up to free agency, it did start to seem like his value had not been that second round pick that you guys were looking for, but for it to be a 6th was very surprising. Now it's one of those that it can move up to a 5th or a 4th if he plays a majority of the snaps. And the rumor, today coming out was that if they don't like the way Russ looks, they are willing to cut him and just go into the season with Fields as a starter, which I think would probably be a mistake, because the whole reason you get Fields is to sit behind a guy like Russ. But nevertheless, it could be a 4th round pick, but still, that's, I
think if you're the Steelers, I think that's crazy. Yeah, we'll get to all the trades and stuff that happened this week too, but I think the biggest thing to take away from this, if you're the Steelers, is, like you had said, you get a mentor with Fields, and this is like the perfect guy to do it, might I add. But you move Fields, or you keep Fields. I don't think you get rid of Russ. I think you let Russ play for a full year, and unless Russ gets hurt, you let Fields just ride the bench for the year. And then you accept the 5th-year option, let Fields actually get some kind of development, and play him in the 2nd year that you have him, because you have contractually 2 years for him. Let Fields play, see what he's got, and then extend him to, I'd say, a short-term contract, like a 2 or 3 year
situation.
Exactly. Not very much. Quarterback wise, maybe around, I would say, 20 to 23 million per year as of right now. And then just let him work some magic. But like, the Steelers are in a good spot. They traded away Deontay Johnson. They got some extra trade capital, like we said last week, but they could draft like a Brian Thomas. That would be really good. They could draft, they could trade up. I mean, who knows? But like, they're another team that needs a pass catcher and a very deep pass catching class. And they got a good linebacker to add onto their defense too. This team could look really good. It's just not a lot of people are talking about them. That's just where I'm at with the Steelers. Moving on to the next segment here. Let's get this drop in.
Ryan and Ben bring you weekly news.
So this is our first topic that I'm going to talk about. We're going to provide updates on as much as possible, but we're going to choose to move on after stating this instead of dwelling on the topic itself. There are active investigations about Cowboys quarterback Dak Prescott allegedly sexually assaulting a woman. There's another investigation ongoing about the woman extorting Dak. Not a lot of information's come out so far about it. The league is kind of being hush-hush about it, so will we. But as soon as we have any kind of updates for you guys, if anything big happens, we will absolutely share that with you. Next up Aaron Donald has retired. That's huge. Absolutely huge. And now he was contemplating retirement after the Rams won the Super Bowl. He's in his 30s, so it makes sense. It's typically where players retire. But nonetheless, this is a legend. And I mean, the Rams are losing a big piece because he's still got it. He just lost the passion for it. Like, he could still play. He's like, dude's still really good. So it's interesting to see where this Rams team goes, but he's a legend, and he will be for a long time in Rams history. But what do you have to say about it?
Yeah, no, I mean, you lose a great talent. Again, he totally could have played. He put up 8 sacks this year, and I think he only played in like 13 of their games. So if he would have played in all of them, he would have broke double digits again. All right, well, he played more than that. I lied, but he
okay.
still
I was gonna say that's good.
Yeah, I thought his injury was a little bit worse. I know throughout like the first 4 or 5 weeks he was on he's listed as questionable for those first early games. But yeah, like you said, he still has it. One of the better defensive players ever. He's up there with your JJ Watt, not quite LT, but I don't know if anyone ever will be. But he's right up there, like with like the best, without a doubt, an inner circle Hall of Famer. Great career. I wish I would have liked to see him go out in the Super Bowl, but it's good for him.
Yeah. Leighton Vander Esch, the linebacker from Dallas, also has retired. He's just got a linebacker name, man. I'll just be honest with you. That's really what I know him from. I mean, he was good. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 good years, but he also retired. So I wanted to let people know that. I think Ben's going to fact check me here.
No, you're right. It's his whole story is quite sad. He was a good linebacker when he first got in the league. But then he struggled with neck issues and whatnot. He's still pretty. He's not super old. I mean, he's. It did not come as a shock to me, though. I'll say that he. For those who don't know, I don't know when they played them, but the Cowboys played the Niners, and I don't want to speculate too much on this, but Trent Williams caused the neck issue that Leighton Vander Esch is retiring from. All I'll say is he very much dirty blocked Leighton Vander Esch into a play, right into a guy head first. It was an awful play. Caused a neck issue. Leighton Vander Esch retired at the age of 28 years old. It's quite sad to see that his career had to end that way because of a dirty play that led into a neck injury. He was a decent linebacker. He was a solid linebacker. His first couple of years, he was pretty good, and then he's kind of fallen off, but nonetheless, still a good linebacker. And it always sucks to see a player have to leave the NFL because of a dirty play. So
yeah. We have a very rare player-for-player straight-up trade. Desmond Ridder got traded to the Cardinals for Rondale Moore. So a little bit of depth for the Falcons when it comes to wide receivers. I don't hate this move for the Falcons when you have Kirk Cousins. I mean, who do the Falcons have as a backup?
Taylor Heineke.
Okay, yeah, I don't hate that quarterback room at all. So, yeah, I mean, you look at this is a good move. Give Kirk another weapon. You have Darnell Mooney as well, not to mention Drake London, who's been taken off quietly for the Falcons as well. So, I mean, it's a good move for both teams. Cardinals getting a little bit quarterback depth as well. Desmond Ridder gets the opportunity to sit behind Kyler Murray, which, we'll see how that works out. But
it's nice insurance policy.
Yeah. Commanders have traded Sam Howell, a 4th and a 6th, to the Seahawks for a 3rd and 5th round pick. When I sat down and I looked at the actual trade compensation here, I was like, wow, Seahawks kind of they gave up a lot Or no, they got a lot. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
They got a lot. They didn't give up that much.
Yeah.
They got a good quarterback, which, I mean, he was good. He was fine. Like, he wasn't great. Sam Howell, he had a lot of passing yards, but I mean, a lot of interceptions came with that as well. So he's got a lot to work on. But nonetheless, I think, did the Seahawks have a little bit of a quarterback competition going on behind the scenes? Like, could Sam Howell start?
I wouldn't say it's a quarterback competition, but after this next year, they can get out of that Geno Smith contract. And it's not even a bad contract to begin with. It's a pretty good contract. But after this year, they can get out of that Geno Smith contract. And I think the plan is to hopefully have Sam sit behind him for this year. And then next year have him roll out and see what he got. It's a flyer it's a flyer, man. And it's not bad at all for the way he's played. I like it for
him. The Vikings making a move as well. Just an absolute, I really like this move for them. From a Vikings point of view, not even a Bears point of view. Bears point of view, I'm like, dang it. But anyways, Vikings have traded, as we mentioned before, up for number 23 overall in the first round, and then number 232, so a 7th. But they traded a second-round pick, number 42, a sixth-round pick, number 188, and then a 2025 second, so to the Texans for that pick. So now they have 2 firsts, and they look to move up for a quarterback now. This is going to be really interesting to see what they end up doing, because, the speculation is that they're going to move up for a quarterback. I'm curious to find out if that's enough. The rumor is that they're talking to the Patriots, and they might have a deal in place, but we also know the Patriots, when it comes down to what they want Jaden Daniels. And it's not confirmed that the Commanders are just going to be totally cool and set on Drake May, even though that's what we kind of speculate. But it's not set in stone. So if the Patriots don't get their guy, I've heard that they are not big on Drake May, but so they'll consider trading out. And then at that point, you're looking at the Vikings potentially getting Drake May at 3, and I don't want to do that, because then my thing is this, right? Like, as a Bears fan, we're praying that Caleb Williams is the right pick. And you could very much, that's happened before, you can mess up, pick the wrong quarterback, and the other guy gets drafted, and then they tear it up, like a Mitch Trubisky, Patrick Mahomes deal. You know what I mean? For example, you pick the wrong guy first. So, to see him take off not only in the league, but on a division rivals team is kind of scary to think about.
Very, very reminiscent, I think, how this trade's going to end up. Like the Trey Lance trade back in 21, I think is what it was, 21. Where you move up to the third, which isn't ideal because you don't get your choice of quarterback, but you do need a quarterback. So you move up to the third pick. My guess is if they moved up to the third pick, obviously it would be for 11 and 23. But then I think it would also take a first next year. So I think it'd be the 3 firsts. And then I wouldn't be surprised if they threw in their second next year, but got a third in return. So
Vikings
something
just
along
gave
the
up
lines.
Their second next year. So unless they have an extra second next year, I'll check that.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if it's 11, 23 and a first round pick next year to move up for whoever their guy is, and if not, move up to again maybe the Chargers or something, and if they fall in love with a guy like JJ McCarthy or something. But I think you're gonna have to, if you want JJ, you're gonna have to get before the Giants. The Giants love JJ. The Giants took him out for dinner. They had him tour the facility. The rumors is they really, really like him. And if he's there at 6, it wouldn't be a surprise if they took him. So I wouldn't be surprised even if they trade 11 and 23 to 5 with the Raiders and try to go up and get their guy there.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, you look at this too. So the Texans didn't give up their first round pick this year in that trade specifically. They don't have a first round pick this year because it belongs to Arizona, but they traded Cleveland's first that they got in return for the Deshaun Watson trade for that too. So, I mean, just an extra little bit of return for that as well, just something to keep note of. But your Eagles made a move. They traded a 2024 third to the Steelers for Kenny Pickett, a 2024 fourth, and 2 2025 sevenths. Nice.
So, yeah, basically, basically they they moved back 22 spots to get their backup QB for the next 2 years. I like it. Rumor has it that they were kind of in on the Justin Fields sweepstake. And for the price that Justin Fields went, I wouldn't be surprised. But the Bears did the right thing. Again, this is all rumors and speculation, but a lot of sources believe that the Bears did the right thing and they let Justin Fields pick where he wanted to go, which applaud that. I'm not surprised that Justin Fields did not want to come to Philly and sit behind Jalen Hurts and have no chance to become a starter. As much as we joke on this podcast that Jalen Hurts and Justin Fields are the same guy, in reality, Justin Fields would have came to Philly and would have sat behind him for 2 years and would have went somewhere else and wouldn't have had a chance to start. So I think they were in on the Justin Fields stuff, but I think Justin Fields did not want to come to Philly and sit behind him. And Philly's always prioritized their backup quarterback. I mean, look at Nick Foles and everything that happened there. So pick up a good backup quarterback, someone that's not going to cause a lot of pressure on Hurts. Let's be honest, no one's going to clamor for Kenny Pickett to come in for 22 spots. I'm not mad about it. It's a good pick. It's a good pickup.
I will say this too. I would have been insufferable if your Eagles traded for Fields. I'd be like, "Oh, they were listening, dude. They know." Nah, but I'm kidding. What would your okay? So I guess now that he's not on the Bears, right? So like, I feel like there is a Bears tax to certain players that we downgrade their value. This is bias. I'll understand that. That's fair. But I feel like we downgrade their worth until they're moved to a different team. Cough, cough, Roquan Smith, cough, cough. A lot of different ratings come out higher and stuff like that when he goes to Baltimore and like his first game and stuff. Everybody's clamoring about how good he is. And my thing is this. When it comes to Fields, what do you think about his future and what kind of potential he has to be? Do you think that he can be a starter in this league?
Well, I think it has much to do with the market. While Chicago's an awesome market, Chicago hasn't been a good team in 20 years outside of that one run, Cody Parkey. But they haven't been like this.
2010s.
Not amazing. That's semantics. They have not been very, very good in recent years, and I think it has a lot to do. When we talk about the Bears tax, I just think it's no one wants to talk about bad teams. I mean, no one wanted to talk about the Browns when the Browns were awful. No one wanted to talk about the Lions when the Lions were awful. So I think it just has much to do with no one wants to talk about bad teams, honestly.
Yeah.
But in terms of Justin Fields, I think he has the ability to be a starting quarterback. I have always said it, though. I am not holding my breath that it will happen. He's just not there as a passer, and maybe he goes into a different offense and can develop that. But I wouldn't be surprised if he is a high-end backup for the rest of his career. And that would be my guess for the way his career turns out. He's really, really fun. And I really hope I'm wrong. But his inability to actually throw the football is very, very concerning. Some team might be able to work magic with him. He has all the tools there. He just has never been able to put it together, and I don't know if he ever will.
Yeah, that's fair. Do you think Gardner Minshew's a high-end backup? Like, is that a good example of that?
Gardner Minshew is a high-end backup. Obviously they play different games, but I wouldn't be I wouldn't be surprised if he was
on like same level, like tier.
Yes, like a Fitzmagic, a Gardner Minshew, a Jacoby Brissett, something like that. I wouldn't be surprised if that's his career arc. Obviously, not the same playing styles, but a high-end backup. Snoop Huntley, perfect. I wouldn't be surprised if he was a Snoop Huntley.
Okay, that's fine. And then now we get into the big signings. I didn't include all of these. Excuse me, strictly because these are not all. I mean, like after that first wave, everybody big was out except for these guys. So
yeah.
I'm just going to breeze through these, and then we can get into our next segment here. Dolphins have signed cornerback Kendall Fuller to a 2-year deal worth $16.5 million. Love this for Dolphins. Yeah. Lions are signing D-tackle DJ Reader to a 2-year deal worth $27.5 million. I thought he was off the market. Good for the Lions. Bad for the Bears. Bills are signing wide receiver Curtis Samuel to a 3-year deal worth $30 million. Eagles signed linebacker Devin White to a 1-year deal worth $7.5 million. I just realized that one wasn't converted to the one that's in front of my mouth, so now you hear an audio difference, hopefully.
Yes. The Devin White signing, it's a base. I think it's base $4 million, and then the last 3.5 is all incentives. I hope it's not the only move they make at linebacker. That's all I'll say.
Yeah. Rams signed safety Cameron Curl to a 2-year deal worth $13 million. Dang it, man. What a swing and a miss, dude. Like, Kevin Byard's going to be good. I'm sold on that. I know you didn't like him, but here's the thing. I think he's going to be good. But dang it, man, that's who I wanted because he's young and he's good and he's cheaper. Like, this would have been so much better. And this, honestly, in my opinion, I would be so much more in favor of a Cameron Curl situation because he was cheaper and he probably would have put us in play for like a Christian Wilkins. Like, dang it. But anyways, Saints have signed edge rusher Chase Young to a 1-year deal worth $13 million. They really structured this pretty well. I want to applaud the Saints for that. And then these next couple deals, I didn't find any of the details, but both of them are really good signings. The Chiefs are signing wide receiver Marquise Brown. That's so much fun. Fantasy prospect for sure for those of you that play. I'm looking forward to that. That and Rashee Rice is going to be good too. So 49ers are signing linebacker Devondre Campbell. Again, details were not disclosed, but this is also a backup to like a Drake Greenlaw type deal. So I'm looking forward to seeing that, especially because he's not on the Packers anymore. But 49ers getting some big linebacker depth here. So I love that. Other than that, that's all I really have for weekly news. So I think we can go ahead and get into our next segment here.
Yeah, real quick. The Marquise Brown signing is a base $7 million, and then it's up to $11 million based off incentives. But the only other kind of surprise, and I would say I'm probably missing a few at this point. Very, very surprised Justin Simmons has still not been signed. I wonder if the market is not there for him, if teams are just lowballing him. I wouldn't be surprised if the Eagles try to make a second push to try to get him.
Right.
He's the only big free agent left. I hesitate saying that because I can't think of anyone off the top of my head, and I could be wrong. But he's the only big free agent left. But he's still on the market for teams that are in need for safety help. So,
I want to tell you this breaking news to me. Ben, I reported to you privately that my source had told me that Snead to the Colts was happening. The Colts are officially out on the Snead trade. They're not doing it anymore. The Titans and Lions could be teams that could go after him. But, Lions are going to cut Cam Sutton soon. But as of right now, my source right now is telling me that the Lions will not be pursuing Snead. They're targeting the cornerback via franchise market or free agent market. I'm sorry. And then to keep an eye on Xavier Howard and his availability going to Detroit.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions make a move for Snead, but they've already given up a second and a fifth for Carlton Davis.
From what I've been told, the Titans are the front runners right now because the Colts couldn't match it. So
yeah. Like Ryan said, we didn't dig into it, and kind of don't really want to dig into it. Sutton got arrested today.
Oh yes.
For reasons I do not want to get into. But he's arrested and, like Ryan said, expected to be released. So I would not be surprised if they make a push or if they try to sign 34-year-old Stephon Gilmore. I don't know how much he has left in the tank at this point.
He's not great anymore, man. Let's be honest. He's an average corner right now. But anyways, let's go ahead and get right into our next segment here.
Pro football isn't the only game in town. Let's take a stroll to Ben's College Corner.
Nice, man. Let's get right into it. So top cornerbacks and safeties in this year's draft. So Ben's done more homework on this than I have, admittingly. Yes. I'm just going to tell you guys who my guys are as he goes on. And we're just going to discuss it openly after, he's going to have his points and stuff, and I'll just chime in.
Yes. So we will get into the safeties first because I have not quite watched all of the safeties. Again, all the cards on the table. Like I said, guys have been pretty freaking busy, but there wouldn't have been a time to really squeeze these guys in here. These guys fit pretty well with the corners. The corners, I feel very, very confident about breaking down. I haven't watched a whole lot of safeties, but I have the three top guys for me, and then at one point, I would have considered him a sleeper / my guy, but at this point, everyone really likes him. So I have a fourth guy for you guys. It's a sleeper / my guy, but I think he'll probably go within the top 3 rounds at this point. But first off, the number one safety in the class, I don't really think there's much of a debate at this point. He has been, for a very, very long time, it was between Cam Kitchens out of Miami and Tyler Nubin out of Minnesota. I always leaned Tyler Nubin, and at this point, Tyler Nubin is, I would say, consensusly viewed as the top safety in this class. I really like him. He has good length. He's been in college for, I think he's a redshirt senior this year. I could be wrong. I think he probably should have came out last year, and if he came out last year, he probably would have been selected in the second round as well. Would have been the top safeties in last year's class. Came back for another year, finished his degree. So he's seen a lot. He has really good route awareness. He's really good at seeing how a play kind of develops. He has a very quick trigger. I love it. He sees a gap. He's going to come down. He's going to be good in the run support. And again, he's just very lengthy. So he's a good tackler. He sees the gaps really well. He's really, really good at sitting back, watching the routes develop, and finding where that quarterback's going to go. The only things that really concern me is him being top tier athlete. He just has stiff hips, which hurts his lateral quickness, so his side to side, his burst ability. But outside of that, he's a smart processor. He knows where to be. He's a good tackler. Outside of being a high-end athlete, which I think isn't super important to be at the safety position at this point. As long as you have corners that can keep stuff in front of you, he's going to be really, really good. Then the aforementioned Cam Kitchens, he's my safety too. I think he's going to be your best single high safety. Has very, very good range. He fits very well in a Fangio-esque defense. I wouldn't be surprised if Nubin was on the board and a team that ran a Fangio defense ended up selecting him. Someone like the Eagles. Again, his sideline to sideline ability and range is pretty stellar. He's a willing tackler. He's a willing tackler, and he has good ball skills. The only issue is sometimes he can get caught up in bad angles when tackling, which puts him a little bit behind the 8 ball when trying to get there. And then his eyes just aren't there. He gets caught looking sometimes, which is saying something because he has really good range. So if he just trusted his eyes and didn't get caught looking as much, he'd be maybe really making that push for safety one, but he isn't because he doesn't trust him enough. And then he's a little bit smaller. He's 5'11", which sometimes affects his ability to play against those more physical wide receivers and on those 50-50 balls. But again, if you're looking for a single high safety that's going to be able to get to sideline, make tackles, he's going to be your guy. And then I think this is a little hot, but it's a guy that I had texted you guys about in November, and people have come around to him. I don't know at this range, but he's my safety 3. He's Jaden Hicks. He went to Washington. I am hesitant to call him a safety. I think he's probably going to end up more as a star backer. I keep on referring to star backer the last couple episodes. For those who don't know star backer, it's a guy that is kind of your in between. Think a Kyle Duggar, a Jeremy Chin. He's in that role. He's big. He's lengthy. He's 6'2". I wish he would put more weight on his bones or he's 6'3". If he's going to play that star backer role in the NFL, he's going to need to put more weight on it because he does struggle like consistently making the tackles. And for a guy that isn't very big, he kind of struggles carrying those deep routes down the field. But he's very instinctual and has very, very good ball skills. Again, he reminds me of a Kyle Duggar-esque player. And then finally, last guy that at one point was considered my guy, at one point was considered a little bit of a sleeper or gem and is no longer considered that, is Taylor Demerson, or people call him Jack Rabbit. He went to Texas Tech. He, again, is your smaller safety. I think he's also 5'11". And the nickname Jack Rabbit fits him very, very well. He's a very good athlete, which is something you'll see me say quite often about this safety class and this cornerback class. But he's a very, very good athlete, very twitchy, has very good recovery skills. This year, he was a good tackler. His form looked different this year. In the past, he's had some tackling consistency issues, but this year it did not show up on tape. And again, he's quick, he's instinctive, and he's a good tackler. He sometimes bites on the play action a little bit, and like I said, he's just small, and because of his I don't want to say slow processor because I think he can do it, but because he struggles on that play action, sometimes he plays a little bit conservatively and won't pull the trigger. But he's instinctive and he has a football IQ. Sometimes he just needs to trust his eyes just a little bit more. But again, he's just your quick, small, good tackling safety. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if he is a top 100 pick in the class. So those are the safeties. Again, didn't watch a whole lot of the safeties. Again, I've been strapped for time. Cornerbacks, on the other hand, I have watched a lot of. I would say consensusly there's a top 5 cornerbacks that everyone agrees on. Now, the order in which people agree on them is a little bit different. In no particular, or I will order them, but I understand why people would have them in different orders, and I'll break them down. But those 5 in my order being Quinyon Mitchell at 1, Terrion Arnold at 2, Cooper DeJean at 3, Nate Wiggins at 4, and then people like to put Kool-Aid at 5. Those are the consensus. I hesitate to say that because we'll get into it in a minute. But do you have those guys ordered in a specific way?
Do I?
Yeah.
Oh man, not really. Because I mean, recently, like I haven't really been thinking about like a tier list or a ranking system. It's more so because like Kool-Aid was a top 15 pick early on in the draft process when it comes to mocks, and then you look at it now and it's like he's falling into the second round. So like I'm just, with me still being new to like the draft process regarding scouting and stuff like that, it's fun for me to think about players falling like that because it's, I mean, after you've been looking at them for so long, it's like, like I understand, don't get me wrong, but it's like, this is an interesting process. So I've been kind of focused on that. Also dealing with a bunch of other stuff behind the scenes, so I haven't really put pen to paper for it. So, but yeah, Quinyon Mitchell is probably my CB1 right now. Yeah. That's what I know for sure. And it was crazy too because that's another guy that was coming up 3rd to 2nd to 1st, and now you're looking top 15 pick as well. So it's gonna be good. That and the Bama kid, not Kool-Aid, but the other kid, Burton, was it Burton? Is that his last name? Arnold. Well, it's Burton. Jermaine Burton.
Jermaine Burton is a wide receiver for Bama.
That's what I'm thinking about. Yeah. Anyways, Terrion Arnold. Yes, that's another guy that I'm really high on as well. I think he could be taken towards the back end of the first round, maybe early second. But yeah, I just love his character, man. That's what I mean. I've watched a lot of like the corners and stuff, especially when it was like Senior Bowl time. But I mean, when you look at like something that plays a lot for me, and I know I shouldn't really scale it on this, is their character. That's really it. And he was saying something about how like him and his mom are super close, and I can relate to that personally. I know you can as well. So I mean, because of that, like, it was special for me to see him shout that out, because I was like, this kid is just as old as we are and living out our dreams, and we would probably say the same exact thing if we were on the big stage. So I appreciate that as well. But no, to answer your question, I haven't really made a list.
Yeah. For those in watching live, go ahead and drop in the comments what you guys like to order these guys. Again, Quinyon Mitchell, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, Nate Wiggins, and Kool-Aid. For me, these are. We'll get there, but these are consensus. Again, the top 5 corners. There's a tier for me. They're the cleared, I would say, top 2 guys that I've gone back and forth and flipped a little bit back and forth. I ended up going Quinyon. I think Quinyon's going to stay there unless something crazy happens. But for me, it very clearly is Quinyon and Terrion at 1 and 2, and then very, very clearly Cooper and Nate at 3 and 4, and then Kool-Aid is at 5 for most. But I think Kool-Aid in cornerback 6 for me are in the same tier, and I will probably end up putting cornerback 6 at cornerback 5. But for me, again, to get in these top 2 guys, Quinyon Mitchell, he really bursted onto the scene at the Senior Bowl. Put on one heck of a combine, that is for sure. He's a good athlete. He has a good frame. His ball production is there. He had 6 interceptions this past year. He had like 7, I think, the year before that, which is a little scary because over like half of them came in one game. So I take that with a grain of salt. But he breaks on the ball really quickly. Again, he high points it very, very well. He's a good athlete. He can stick with man. And again, he has a good frame. Open field tackling is a bit of a question. And sometimes his hips are a little stiff. And then, like I said, he has great ball production, which is amazing trait for him. But sometimes he can get baited into biting on a couple of the routes because he wants to get a pass breakup or an interception or something. But just his mix of size, ball production, athleticism, he's CB1 for me. And like I said, there are a lot of great athletes in this DB class as a whole. Terrion Arnold is another one of them. He's a fluid athlete. Terrion Arnold doesn't have that track speed that Quinyon has, but his hips are much more fluid, and I think he's going to step in immediately and be good at either zone or man. He has the ball production. I think his ball production is more fluky than the others. A lot of them have come on just like deep shots, just like Hail Mary balls, just throw it up and hope someone makes it. The big concern for me is lack of like nuanced footwork. There's a lot of extra steps taken in his game. And I think some wide receivers at the next level can definitely use that for their advantage in the short game. But if he can clean that up, that's really his only big concern for me. And then Cooper DeJean, for me, is cornerback 3. Like I said, another great athlete. He has a track background. His body control is wild. I mean, like wide receiver-esque. He's very, very good in zone. That's why some people have him ranked as a safety in this class. But honestly, the thing that stands, off there, like jumps off the paper to me compared to these other corners, is his want and desire to come downfield and make a tackle. More than any of these top guys, he's going to come down and he's going to play and run support. And we're not seeing that as much now. But I don't know. I'm a big fan of him. I do not have his cons written down. That is a gosh darn shame. But that's besides the point. And then Nate Wiggins, the other guy I have in his tier. Like I said, as I've said for all the other corners in the top 4, smooth mover. This guy's much more twitchy than the other guys. He's very young. He's 20. He will be playing pretty much his entire rookie season as like a 21-year-old. He doesn't turn 21 until I think it's July. It's either June or July. So he is very, very young. His big thing is he's just very skinny. He weighed in at like 168 or something at the combine, which is like a little bit less than what Emmanuel Forbes did last year. And because of that, he can struggle getting off blocks in the run game. And he's not good at like hand fighting. In the more physical wide receivers can abuse him a little bit. But he is going to be able to carry those routes down the field. He does have the smooth hips. He's going to be able to break on the ball in zone. He's going to be able to stay with the wide receiver in man coverage. And then the next tier I have, again, it's the one that I've been very, very hesitant about. This is not going to come as a surprise to Ryan and or Matt. In their own tier, I have Kool-Aid, but I also have TJ Tampa. I am a sucker for TJ Tampa, and I would not be surprised if TJ Tampa is my cornerback 5. I really, really like TJ Tampa. He is my guy. I will come out with like a my guy, not my guy list for you guys. Probably the week before the draft, so you guys can know what that looks like. I like to put that out kind of in the ether so everyone can see and we can look back on it. A guy like Woolard was on that list a couple years ago, so it felt good to hit on something like that. But besides the point, I am in love with TJ. TJ, I think he was listed as like 6'3" at Iowa. He's not 6'3". He barely reached 6'1". And I don't even know if he did reach 6'1", but that's still really good size for a CB1. I think he has true CB1 size and length. His ball skills are there. Unlike a couple of the other guys I've said, he has loose hips and he hand fights very, very well. My only 2 concerns with him is he doesn't wrap up. He tackles fine, but at the next level, I wonder how well that's going to translate for someone who doesn't wrap up and kind of do that gator roll. And because he has those good ball skills, he likes to gamble probably more than what he should. But outside of him gambling and wrapping up, I don't see many issues in his game. The level of athlete is questioned, but I really think on film he can burst onto the ball well enough and close just fine. I don't think he's going to be an amazing athlete like the guys before him, but I don't think he's a bad athlete by any means. He's a guy that, again, I'm much, much higher on. I would not be surprised if a team takes him in the first round. I really, really, really like TJ Tampa. And then the other guy in this tier, who's a guy like you mentioned before, at the very beginning of the year, was probably the number 1 cornerback on most people's boards. Was being drafted in the top 10. That's Kool-Aid. I think Kool-Aid, out of any of the top 4 guys that I was talking to you guys about with Quinyon, Terrion Arnold, Cooper DeJean, and Nate Wiggins, has the highest floor just because he's going to step in right away and be, I would dare I say, elite at press man. He's going to be very, very good at press man, but I have concerns about his ability to go into a zone scheme. So as I said, someone like Cam Kitchens is going to be a great fit in your Vic Fangio defense. You're not going to want Kool-Aid in that defense. He's strictly going to be your press man. And Kool-Aid just ran his 40 time at his pro day. He has a fractured foot, and he ran like in the sub 4, or he ran in the mid 4.4s, which is a better than what Terrion Arnold ran. But on tape, Terrion Arnold is just a much better athlete. That's my concern with Kool-Aid is just his zone recognition and his ability to see routes develop when he's not pressing them and being able to feel them with his hands. And then his ability to kind of burst on that, because I don't think he's quite the athlete that Terrion is, but I don't think it's quite a negative either. I think he has the highest floor of any team, and any team that is going to play press. I wouldn't be surprised if they take him above the aforementioned guys, because he's going to step in, and I think he's probably the best cornerback or the best press corner of all of the guys in this class. And then the last 4, I got Ennis Rakestraw Jr. That's a corner that some people are much higher on. I like Ennis. I really, really liked him And then I started digging into TJ, and TJ is in just, again, a different tier than what Ennis is. I do like his ability, just like I do with Cooper DeJean, to get involved in the run game and come down the field and do that. Again, just as the other ones are in this class, he's a very fluid athlete with fluid hips, smooth hips. And his short game is going to be awesome. There's not going to be many guys that have a better short game in this class than what Ennis has. The big issue with him is he's skinny and does not have a big frame, so he's going to struggle with those bigger wide receivers like a couple of the other guys I mentioned in this class, but he is really, really grabby. And I would rather have my wide receivers be too grabby than less grabby, because it's a lot easier to teach them to not grab. Again, that's kind of what Georgia does. Georgia would prefer to have a grabby corner and teach them to not. But still, for him being a skinnier guy, he struggles with those bigger wide receivers, and he is really, really grabby down the field. But again, his short game's awesome. He has really fluid hips. I think this guy's a top 50 player, and I think he's going to be selected in probably the top 50 picks. And people are going to be disappointed to not know much about him. But that's Mike Sanders still. Yes, he's a Michigan guy. Of course, I like him because of that, but it's not the reason that I think he's a top 50 guy. He's only played the position for 2 years now. He came to Michigan as a wide receiver. And after his first 2 years, Jim went up to him and said, "Hey, I think it would be beneficial for you to switch to a corner." And he is your slot corner. He's not very big. I think he's 5'8", or I think he's 5'9", but he's just a junkyard bulldog, guys. It is awesome. And he has played for such a long time, and for him coming from that wide receiver position to now a cornerback position, he has really good instincts, and he's really able to trust his processor and his football IQ to figure out what that wide receiver is going to do. And he, again, is aggressive in the run game. He needs to tackle a little bit better in open space, but when he sees it, most of the time he's going to trigger down on it. And again, I say most of the time because my con in him is it. In again, it's the pro and con. As I said, he's only played the position for 2 years. So if he's already looking this good, imagine what he's going to do at the next level when he really gets these elite cornerback coaches and DB coaches. But since he's only been playing the position for 2 years, he doesn't quite trust his eyes yet, which is a shame because, like I said, he has good instincts, but sometimes he waits, like you can see it, that he knows what's going to happen, but he waits for the ball to be in the air to go and make a play. And there was 2 or 3 times where if he would have just trusted himself a little bit more, he would have had even more interceptions. I think he had like 4 this year. It was so much fun to watch. Any team that gets him is going to get I'm going to say a top 5 nickel corner / slot corner in the entire NFL. He is immediately, again, he's a junkyard bulldog. He has fluid hips to stay with everyone. He has the instinct. He just needs to trust himself a little bit more. That's about it. Kamari Lassiter is my cornerback 9. He's not quite the athlete that the other cornerbacks from Georgia has been, like your Kelly Ringo. But he's just smart. And he makes up for not being that top athlete by knowing where to be in zone coverage. He's going to be there at the right time, at the right place every single time because he's just a smart football player. He recognizes the routes and how they're going to break down very, very quickly. He's a good tackler. And in the best case scenario for him is to go and play in your zone schemes. Because like I said, he's not that athlete, but he's able to use his quick or his smart thinking to make up for not being a good athlete. So he's a perfect fit in one of your zone schemes. And then again, sometimes he's a little bit handsy. Like I said with the Georgia corners before, they like their handsy corners. He's going to need to figure out how to not use his hands as much. And then he's just a smaller frame. Again, it's just another reason why I like him a little bit better in zone. And then a guy that people don't have at 10, people have been rising up on him, but I wanted to sneak him in at 10 because if you guys have watched this podcast and have been around me for a long time, I mentioned Tyreek Woolen as being one of my guys. This guy does not move quite as Tyreek Woolen, but the ongoing joke is I like my skill position players long, fast, and tall. And it's exactly what my cornerback 10 is. That's Kyrie Jackson. He's the big cornerback from Oregon. He's 6'4". He's very lengthy. He's not like the best athlete in the world. He's not your Quinyon Mitchell. He's not your Nate Wiggins. But for being 6'4", he moves very well. He comes down the field. He tackles well. He tracks the ball well. He uses hands a lot. I would like to see him to get back on that a little bit more, because I wouldn't be surprised if he gets called for more holding at the next level. And then his lateral quickness just isn't there, and he doesn't have like super good straight line speed for his size. It is good, but he's not going to be able to keep up with your Tyreek Hills. But how many people in the NFL are? So he's very much your big corner that has the ball skills, and likes to get physical. And I had to sneak this guy in here at number 10 just because I like my big physical corners that move better for their size than what they probably should. So that's my top 10 corners for you guys. I think we'll probably do D-line next week. Don't quote me on that, though. But do you have anything else to comment on that, Ryan?
Nah, it's a pretty decent class for corners and safeties. So I mean, I'm looking forward to seeing where they fall. But for once, I don't think the Bears are going to be drafting in this class, so I'm kind of cool with that. But looking forward to whoever does, because I mean, your Eagles need secondary.
Yeah, I would be surprised if they leave the first 2 rounds without taking someone. The corner class is great. The safety class isn't quite as good as it's been in the past couple of years, but the cornerback class has that depth. If it wasn't obvious enough, I hope the Eagles go somewhere outside of corner in round 1 and then trade up and get my guy TJ in the second round. But like you said, it's a good corner class. So stay tuned for the edges next week. Well, edges and D tackles, but we're all here for the money makers and edges next week. So
yes, that, and in the coming weeks, we did this all last year as well. Mock drafts are going to be returning at some point within the next couple of weeks. We wanted to make sure that we didn't just keep pumping out the same crap over and over and over again. So with the draft being a little more than a month away, we want to bring that to you guys soon. So stay posted with that. Follow us on our socials, because that's where we're going to be releasing it. But until then, let's get right into our last segment.
It's time for America's favorite game, Weddle.
All right, guys. So Ben beat me last week. Surprise, surprise. His overall record is 35-22. Ben's kind of a wizard at this stuff, man. So let's see if you guys are new. Hopefully you guys know the rules of Weddle. But if not, sit back, take a seat, and we will show you. What are you thinking, man? You want to go first?
Yeah, sure. I'll go first. I'll go Devontae Smith. Changed it up on you this week.
There we go. Okay.
Oh, okay.
NFC receiver.
I know where I'm going.
I'm going DK. No, okay. Not that high.
Yeah. Give me Keenan Allen. No, the number doesn't work out though. But you do it anyways, but
I like it because I was wanting to do it too, but I was like,
By the way, just like real quick, like off topic, who's wearing 13 in Chicago?
Yeah, no, that's an open conversation.
I'm gonna feel bad for you if you guys take Caleb and he's not number 13.
I'm hoping if it's not 13 for Caleb, then we give it to Keenan, because Tyler Scott has it right now. So I mean, we'll see. He shouldn't be wearing it. But, I expect Caleb to be wearing 18 because that was his high school number. And then Keenan Allen to be having 13 just because of respect, because he's a good receiver. And then Tyler Scott to be wearing whatever other number. I
wouldn't be surprised, too, if Keenan leaves the year after and he goes back to 13. I mean, that's what Hurts did. Hurts was 2 his rookie year and then has been 1 ever since. So,
yeah.
Anyways.
Trying to think of
the NFC South. So that's
older too. So I mean, you're talking Panthers.
It's probably it's Adam Thielen. It's Adam Thielen.
Is it? It is. Huh.
Yeah.
I didn't know he was 6'2". I thought he was smaller. Didn't he play a slot in Minnesota?
He did. He was a big slot.
All right. All right. So you want to go first again, or do you want me to?
No, I want you to go first. I'm gonna be mad if it's Griffin Dexter.
Yeah,
Dude,
that's what I
I'm
normally go
waiting.
for.
I'm waiting for the date. It is actually Griffin Dexter, and we're just like
Praying for the snipe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's a younger, smaller defensive player in the AFC. L'Jarius Sneed. Oh! Wow!
Holy cow.
You.
Trey McDuffie, baby.
I was gonna say you better get it. You better get it. If you don't get it, it's
nice.
gone.
There we go.
Out there, huh?
I appreciate that. Yeah, that's. I mean, that's just how it can go sometimes,
right?
I'm sure. That's. I mean, I'm sure you've won maybe 2 times the same exact way. It's not very common, but that's how it can happen sometimes if you're unfamiliar with it.
Oh yeah, that's the fun of it, right?
Oh, of course. Yeah, there we go. Another win, few and far between. But anyways, Ben, you got any closing comments?
Yes. It is now that time in March. Anyone who picked Purdue to win it all, you deserve what's coming your way.
Yep.
You know it, and you still decided to pick Purdue. That's on you. Good luck when they get out in Sweet 16 to TCU or something.
Yeah, I'm putting their over/under at 2.5 rounds played.
Yeah, you guys did it to yourself. This is your fault, and I'm gonna look really stupid if they win it all. It's gonna be great to come back and clip this if this happens. Watch, just my luck. But God bless all your guys' brackets. I didn't realize Marquette was a hot take, but people do not think Marquette is going to make it far at all, given Tyler is hurt, and I don't know how much he's actually going to play, even though he's one of the better guards in all of the country. Hopefully Marquette clutches it up. Me, Ryan, Caitlin, and Mary have a little bracket we do off to the side as friends. So wish me luck. As always, screw Purdue.
Is there a top or a Final Four prediction for you?
You know what? I'll give you. All right. So for a long time, I'm going to be 100% honest with you, not to I'm trying to look at my bracket too. Not to dig too deep into it, but for a long time, I had Illinois getting deep into the Final Four. But let's just say I don't like one of their players and his choices that he decides to do with his life off of the court. So morally, I am no longer rooting for Illinois because of said guy. If you know who he is, you know who he is. And if you don't, go ahead and look him up. But I don't feel like doing that for you. My Final Four, and I'm ready to get hurt by Arizona again. For those who know me, I am from Arizona. I'm from Tucson. If you would have asked me 6 years ago, I guess 7 years ago, I probably would have told you I was going to go to the U of A. We love Arizona. I picked Arizona to win it last year, and they lost to Princeton in the second round, or maybe it was the first round. But I have maybe hot. I have Auburn and Arizona coming out in the Final Four, and I have Marquette and Creighton.
Okay.
I have Marquette and Arizona making it to the finals. As I said, I have Marquette winning it all. The more I look at it, the more I'm not confident that Marquette's going to do it, and I'm actually going to go and change it to Creighton right now.
I'm going to go ahead and say mine. I don't know what mine is in ours. It's probably different. Yeah, I'm going to say, just looking at it right now, Iowa State, St. Mary's, and then I'll go Tennessee, Kentucky. No,
I had Tennessee.
I'm sorry, Houston.
I had Tennessee in it for a really long time, but I really do like
an easier side. It does. I feel like that's a take. I feel like that's a really easy corner to take. Like that's a good bracket for them to be in. South Carolina.
For Tennessee, I would disagree. You have Creighton in there, and you have Purdue in there. You have South Carolina. Texas is always tough. I mean, that's actually probably the hardest one for me. I mean, outside of the top right corner, outside of the South. I mean, now that we're getting basketball, I mean, Colorado's a little scary. Duke's scary. James Madison as a 12 seed is wild. I mean, I have James
I'm
Madison
excited to see them
way further than what they should. But again, it's going to be fun. Hopefully your guys' like I said, brackets don't get busted super early on unless you have Purdue making it to the final round. And I hope your bracket loses in the first round. But
one last question regarding this topic. Okay.
Yeah.
If there's going to be a Cinderella team, who is your take on who that Cinderella team will be?
If there's going to be a Cinderella team, oh gosh, I don't. Is 10 seed Drake considered? Can I have them considered?
Double digits. Yeah, I would say so.
All right, which is funny because they'll have to get past freaking Iowa State in the second round, which is like really not fun at all.
Yeah.
I'll go with 10 seed Drake.
I'll give you two teams just in case. Like if you have a second team that you're conflicted about.
James Madison.
Okay.
It's James Madison is I'm rooting for. Oh wow, my cat decided to do parkour. James Madison. They're my upset. James Madison is just freaking fun, man. But I do have them losing to Duke. But
NC State.
NC State's the hot one right now, man. And I'm going to be 100% honest with you. I have NC State getting out in the second round. Kentucky's just they're not going to. I know DJ's good for NC State, but they're not going to be able to stop that backcourt. Reed is just going to sauce them up. They don't have an answer for it. Good luck to you when Kentucky plays Marquette.
Yeah. New Mexico. The Lobos. That's my other one.
The Lobos. And it's not a Cinderella story, but I'm telling you guys, Auburn is going to be – no one wants to play Auburn. No one wants to play Auburn.
Take it from an SEC fan? Absolutely not. I just got to say this. So I don't know who's really listening to the Pigskin Project here live right now. If you guys are listening on Spotify, even better, but still live. We have 17 people watching on all platforms. And I just want to say I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. I've had a pretty decent increase of followers within the last couple weeks. And if you guys are watching the Pigskin Project, I mean, whether you followed it or not, I just want to say thank you for that, just because we appreciate any kind of support whatsoever at all. And if you guys feel like leaving a follow, please do. The Twitter is right above at the Pigskin Pod. You guys can find it pretty easily. The Pigskin Project on Facebook, and then at the Pigskin Project on TikTok as well. I just put out a TikTok on Justin Fields and whatnot, and it got pretty decent amount of views as well. So, if you guys are from anything like that, I just want to say thank you for listening for so long as well. We appreciate it more than ever. I mean, we've got a pretty decent following within these last 3 weeks, so we cannot thank you enough. This is just the off season. This is just the beginning of the off season. We love to get going, and it will be here before we know it. March. I mean, these next 6 months, man, I'm telling you, from now until the regular season, it's going to blow right by.
It is.
So thank you so much for the support. Share it with people. If you like what you heard today, share it with people. If we agreed with one of your takes, share it with somebody. Tell a friend that you're not the only one that thinks this. Or if we're wrong, share it with somebody and tell us how much of an idiot we are. Still, yeah, we really appreciate it. Feel free to leave any comments below or anything like that as far as, what you'd like us to do in the future. It's going to be a long off season, so we're open to any kind of critiques. Until next week, we want to thank Spotify for Podcasters, Regional Radio Sports Network, and Uppercuts Grooming for helping us grow as a podcast. And until next week, we will see you later. This has been the Pigskin Project. Take it easy.
Screw Purdue.